Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 5 of Geek Bait. I'm joined once again by Nerdy Geezer and Chef, and we're here following the Ask Me Anything session we had a couple of weeks ago to get back into the normal rhythm of things, talking about our months in our hobbies. So first of all, I'll come to you, Chef. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. It's half-term holidays, so it's all good. Just chilling out.
You look very chilled, mate. No one can see you, but I can see you look very chilled right now. But yeah,
I'm actually half asleep. I've just yes, the weekend's been very busy, so I'm half asleep. But
yeah.
yes, all good.
Chef, the romancer, had a very, very busy
Oof,
weekend. Oh.
oof. I tell you, P Diddy's got nothing on me.
Well, crikey. Well, crikey.
What the
Again,
fuck is that?
Again, we'll save that
Oh,
for the
fuck.
OnlyFans. Yeah. Again, we'll save that. Yeah. Lee, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Much like Chef, I've had a bit of time off work, like a nice bit of holiday. So yeah, I'd like to say I've been relaxing, but not really. but yeah, it's good not having to work nights for a change.
Yes. Yeah,
So
seeing the normal day.
yes,
What's it like
actually seeing
seeing?
daylight. Yeah,
Yeah. Although not that there's been much of it, to be fair. Although the last couple of days we've had some sunny blue skies, but it's been mostly grey, hasn't it, throughout the UK? So yeah, it is
yeah.
nice to get some normal stuff back. Yeah, how did you guys enjoy the Ask Me Anything episode? Was that good?
Yes, I enjoyed that. Yeah,
Yeah, we seem to get some good feedback from people.
yeah.
Yeah, we
I
certainly had
thought it was
lots
great.
of questions.
I was sorry. I was going to say the interaction I thought was great. We had lots of questions from lots of people, lots of not all the same questions, if that makes sense. They're all different and vast, and which was I thought was good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think probably we'll do that maybe once a year. Well, it depends how long we can keep this going, but hopefully we do it for a long time. And once a year, or maybe every half year or something, we'll do an Ask Me Anything, and hopefully each time we'll get new people, new questions, and that come up, and we'll try and answer them as best we can. So why don't we just crack on and talk about what we've been up to this month? Now, actually, I'm going to come to Nerdy Geezer because I think Nerdy Geezer has got like a public announcement to make with his first topic to talk about. So let's get into it. Let's get into what's been causing you pain, Lee, this month. What have you been up to?
Right. So obviously, I love my films. I like the physical collection of DVD, Blu-ray. I have a bit of an issue with streaming, as anybody who watches my channels would know. But you'd also know that I'm also a fan of things like Star Trek and various things like that, or Knight Rider, for example. And there's a reason why I mention both of them because, yes, I've had an issue over the past few months, but especially in the last couple with disc rot.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to talk about it because anybody who's thinking of picking up any of the Star Trek DVD box sets, and I'm particularly on about the ones in the cardboard boxes with the thin DVD cases, don't buy them because they're the ones that rot. If you buy the flight cases, which are the big sort of, if it's Voyager, they're red. If they're Deep Space Nine, they're like a navy blue. Buy those because you don't get the same problem. But it doesn't just end there. And I've had this happen with what 3 or 4 of my Star Trek boxes just in the last couple of weeks. But I also went to get out my Knight Rider box set with the intent of converting into MKV files on the PC because I've been doing this with a lot of my DVDs now because, like I said, I'm getting this problem with some of them writing. And I took the disc out, it wouldn't read it. Had a look at the bottom, and there's patches all over it. And it's rotting the entire box set. So, and this is the ultimate box set. I don't know if it happens with all of the others, but this one in particular is the Playback Ultimate Edition box set, which is all of them all in one set. So I've lost a whole lot, and I'm quite irritated with that one, especially because unlike Deep Space Nine and Voyager, which have come down in price, that one seems to have gone up in price. They obviously know there's an issue with them because they brought out newer versions of that box set, and they're now charging quite a bit of money for them. So yeah, I suppose the reason I wanted to talk about it was A, to warn people, but B, to air my frustration and irritation with what's going on with this, because I think I said to you, Martin, the Knight Rider box set's like barely over 10 years old and it's already rotting. I mean, that's really pissed me off. I'm not going to lie.
No, I
It's
can
really
understand.
irritated me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and you kind of you accept that. I know CDRs, the stuff you used to buy on the big spindles, like 100 CDRs for 20 quid or whatever it was back in the day. You kind of expect those to die over time. Like I definitely had some of them rot before a 10-year shelf life. But when you're buying something that's production quality and being charged proper money for it, etc., I don't think 10 years is that long at all to expect that sort of medium to live for, right? So it is a real shame you've had that. Chef, you had much experience with disc rot at all? I mean, you must have thousands of discs in storage and stuff, and you wouldn't. I guess you maybe don't even know.
Yeah, I don't. Other than when we moved to the new house and I had a chunk of my stuff in the house, I went through stuff just having a little looky. I couldn't really see much. What I did see was some of the cart-based stuff. Some of the pins were getting a little bit rusty, but I think that's a mixture of blowing on them and all sorts when it comes to them. But I've not had many discs rot on me, to be fair. Other than, like you were saying, a few CDRs. I've got a few copied games and a few copied movies from back in the day that have rotted, but I can't say I've had anything like what Lee's saying, because that Knight Rider stuff, I think I've actually got that Ultimate Night. Is that the Playback series, the box set?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Oh, I've actually got that. I think I've got that and the 18 in the same box sets.
Both expensive
And
sets as well.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, I think I bought them on release from HMV, like however long it was. I mean, but I haven't actually checked them, so I might have to go and have a little look at it and see what's happening.
Well, the thing is, I mean, the thing that annoys me the most is I've had some people reach out to me and say, "Oh, it's probably because you're leaving them somewhere cold or like in a loft." And I'm like, "No, trust me. Like I look after my discs. They're in my front room, sitting on a shelf unit. Like I don't leave my discs around. I don't use them as coasters. I don't frisbee them. I don't leave them sitting around in a cold shed out in the garden. They're in my front room on a shelf. There is absolutely no reason why this should have happened. This has been sitting in room temperature the whole time.
Yeah.
And this is what's bugged me the most.
What is the main reason for disc rot? Just out of what is it? I mean, obviously, if it's submerged in water, what is the key factor that does it?
So
Quality of the CD?
Over time, I mean, it'll happen with any disc. Martin will probably confirm this. Over time, basically the metal that's inside the foil sort of stuff will degrade. Normally, what you'll get is it'll start to get like sort of potholes in it. That's not what's happening with these, though. I'll get to that in a sec. But in this case, I'd say it's the production, like the way they've been made, because I'm not sure it's technically the metal that's going. I've got a feeling it's the plastic, because I showed you the disc, I think, didn't I, in a video? It's all patchy. It's not like holes. And I've even had people say, "Oh, why don't you try cleaning it?" And I'm like, you can't clean it off. Like this is under the plastic. It's in the disc,
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's from my understanding of it. This is why a lot of people talk about Sega Saturn and some other consoles. Is there's some, obviously these CDs are produced all over the world, and everyone might have a different manufacturing process to how they do things. And some companies' manufacturing processes may be skipped in some areas around the protection of the disc and the sealant used and things like that. And what happens over time is that these seals begin to break and tiny little holes might appear around the edges, and that then allows in air and particulates and all sorts of things, and that then causes damage to the underlying disc inside the DVD or CDR or whatever it is. So that's why I think there's some systems that are more prone to others, or even maybe different film studios or producers or whatever use different factories, and therefore they might be more prone than others, because there's some CDs that have been around for donkey's years and never had a problem, that they could be at this point 30-40 years old and never had an issue. And then there's some that, as you've discovered, Lee, some that are 10 years old and already started to rot, and to the point where they're terrible. So I think, unfortunately, there's no rhyme or reason to whether you do or don't pick up a CD set that isn't going to rot. I guess, to put your point, Lee, 50, 60 years, they're all going to be gone,
Oh, yeah.
potentially. But that's a massive window of error, right? If you've got between 10 years and 50 years, where do you stand? So I think in some cases it's just luck of the draw, and there is no way to find out. It isn't like look out for this type of disc or look out for this type of manufacturer. I don't think anyone really knows. Yeah.
Do you know what makes it worse? Like when it comes to the Star Trek ones in particular, I wouldn't mind so much if there was a Blu-ray upgrade, because, like, for example, with my Next Generation and Enterprise, and we'll talk about Enterprise a bit later, but I've picked them up on Blu-ray, so you kind of extended the life, right? Because you've upgraded to another version of disc, so that will give you a bit longer. But you can't do that with Deep Space Nine and Voyager because they were never HD remastered, so they've never been put on Blu-ray. They literally will die on DVD.
Yeah.
So and this is why I was so desperate to get them on the PC. Now, in the terms of Knight Rider, I can get that on Blu-ray, but I got to pay £103 for it if I want to do that. So this is why I was desperate to get it onto the tower. Get it onto the PC so that it was there. Yeah, it's an irritation, but like I say, the only way around it with the Star Trek sets at the moment is to buy the flight cases. That's the only way, which is funny because they're the first sets they released, which were more expensive. So that tells you something, don't it? Because it means, right, okay, the cardboard ones, they look cheaper. They were clearly made cheaper. So this is why the later ones are going before the others, I think.
Yeah, you would hope that isn't the case, and there isn't some, they've had lots of complaints and therefore reproduced the set. But maybe that is what happened, right? It'd be pretty awful practice if that's what's gone on. But why reproduce the set unless it's just a money grab, of course? But why reproduce the set if you already had a set out unless you knew it was bad? So it is a real shame that's obviously what's probably taken place. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if either of you know of any ways to protect against it. I'm not sure there really is. I don't think anyone's come up with I was just thinking then, could you re-lacquer your discs or something? Or I don't know, some sort of clear coat on it or something. I don't know, to protect it. But I don't think any of those things would work because it probably mess up the reading. So, I don't think there's any real way to guard against it.
The only thing I would say is we were discussing about laser discs a couple of episodes ago, and they're older than Blu-rays. And touch wood, the ones I've got have been all right. I have seen a few laser discs go, but again, like Lee said, I think it's just down to the manufacturers how they're produced. Because I'm sure I must have some laser DVDs rotted, but I haven't got to them. But I've not personally found one myself.
Well, I mean, look at it like this from this point of view. How many of us have still got CDs from the 90s that still work?
Yeah.
Music CDs and stuff and whatnot. Yeah.
You'd expect CD to be a worse quality, but quite clearly they're not. Know?
Strange, isn't it?
It is very strange. Like I said, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, maybe if people are listening to this and you do get a chance, jump into the comments and let us know whether you've suffered with any disc rot. Have you got any tips or tricks on how to avoid it? I know some people that have big games rooms and stuff use moisture traps all over the place. I don't know if that even is a thing. There's all these sorts of ideas. I'd love to hear if people think there is any way. I don't think there is. I think it is just luck of the draw, and unfortunately, Lee, you've come off badly in some of these situations, and which is why you're doing things like backing them up when you can now. You're like getting in there and make sure you've got copies of the discs and stuff as a file on your computer and these sorts of things. But it doesn't get away from the point of the disappointment of opening in a brand new box set or a box that you've gone back to and gone, oh great, I was going to enjoy that, and it's absolutely knackered.
Well, it's interesting you just pointed that out, brand new. I mean, if you remember, I bought Voyager season 1 brand new off Amazon, opened it up and the discs were already starting to go.
Yeah, that's terrible, isn't it?
Luckily it was readable. I got it onto the computer before it had gone.
But that's really bad.
Yeah.
Right, Chef, been up to anything interesting this month?
Well, we had the return of SwapShop, which has been good. I mean, it's been over a year, and I've had quite a few people message me about when is it coming back, if it's coming back, can they come on it, and lots of interesting questions about what they can and can't sell, which I've not shared with people actually. But anyway, it's been it's been great. I mean,
you can't leave us with that, Chef. Give us some. What's the oddest? You have to give names. You have to tell the names again. But you got to give us some of the odd things that people have requested.
Is it 8 inches and rubber by any chance?
12. It's actually 12. Just things like gaming chairs, gaming desks, and I'm just like, really? Like, you want to sell that? You want to sell that on sorry, you want to sell that on SwapShop? I'm like, I mean, recently I've had a tuber ask me about selling TVs, which, okay, yeah, fair enough. You have to go and collect them, obviously. But gaming chairs and gaming table, I was like, this isn't Facebook Marketplace. I come up with my van to come and collect. But I mean, I guess if you're collecting a TV, then I guess it's, I don't know. I'm just, yeah, it's just one of them. It's just funny to see what people would ask about and what they can and can't sell. But yeah, it's great to have it back. Obviously, you guys have been on so many times, which has been cool. I'm just trying to get it out to more and more people. It's just a good laugh, as you know. We just have a good laugh in it. I mean, the last episode, it seemed to be the whole episode was just talking about Condor Man, which I thought was hilarious.
And I started
like, that. Yeah. I think Lee is single-handedly made Disney, I've heard on the grapevine, is coming out on a HD 4K release or something. It's going to be coming out.
I thought it was getting a remake. I think we were going to get Condor Woman.
Oh no, they can't remake that. It's like Big Trouble in China. They have to leave it alone.
I think after all the new interest, they should release it on Blu-ray now. I mean, I've given them reason.
Who knows?
I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, it's a Disney film. Yeah, it's just good fun. Obviously, I started up back in COVID times, 2020. So it's been around for 5 years. And it's just we've seen some good stuff move around. Big games have been moved and bought, traded, and whatnot. And I'm just trying to push it more this year, a bit more on Facebook and social media, and trying to get more people involved with making the adverts, which you two have both done, just to kind of just to get out there, really, because it is a good place where all people can come and get involved. There's no reason to be hesitant about what others feel. It's an open mic scenario where all like-minded people can get along with no aggravation, because you two are the moderators, so it's all good.
I was wondering if you was going to touch on that, because I mean, one of the things I noticed is that sometimes people get a bit brave when they get on other people's streams, don't they?
Unfortunately, I think people forget their manners. I think that's the best thing to say, because it's quite easy to say something when you're X amount of miles away and behind a keyboard or on your phone. But hopefully that will dwindle away, because with everyone else getting involved and like yourselves being there, I think it just makes it a lot easier for people to get involved. They haven't got to worry about being named and shamed, if that's even the right term to be saying, or whatnot, or even branded something they're not.
I just think it's a little bit disrespectful. If you're going on someone else's stream, you shouldn't be, just behave yourself.
But ultimately, that's why you have to have moderators and stuff, right? You have people there to, yes, people should behave better, but that's why you have moderators. I wouldn't recommend anyone running a live stream without having, you focus on doing your live stream and doing the content, and then have some other people that are, like-minded like yourself to help moderate the chat and things like that. It's always useful, because otherwise you can't do both. I've definitely seen streamers who try and do both. They try and run their stream and then try and run their chat, and often that fails, because you inevitably miss stuff when you're focusing on what it is you're there to try and do, stream the content you're trying to do. So
cool.
People will always be people, and luckily you can have moderators to help manage those people. But yeah, I think it was I don't know about you, Lee, but I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. It was nice to sit back. You definitely have a way with people. I think that's one of your biggest strengths is, you know, you have a really good manner with people. You get people to be open-minded and talk and engage. Because I know some people go on the swap shop a little bit worried. They're like, oh, I'm not going to have the right stuff, or I'm not going to have the right thing. And I think you just make it fun. So I think even if you watch the swap shop with no intention of buying anything, watching it for a laugh is also a great reason to watch it, because you just see a bunch of YouTubers having a crack and talking about their games and stuff like that. So yeah, and I think it's probably actually, when I think about the number of people you had there, which was at one point over 60 people, was it? I can't remember what did it top out at? I can't remember.
It was 70 something, wasn't it?
70.
Yeah, I think it was 76 I saw, but
yeah,
without going back and looking, it was quite a bit.
I think I saw 78 at one point. I'm sure I did.
Yeah, maybe.
But again, I don't think that was 78 people with the intention of buying things. I think that was 78 people just enjoying the stream, and probably 10 or 15 of them were there to buy stuff from other people. But that's what I also see it as a nice entertainment as well. It's not just about going on there to buy things. So yeah, there we go.
I think it's a good way. You know, as you guys know, I always try and get people that maybe you don't know, who they don't know, and just so it's just always fresh eyes on channels. You know, just because I think it's better. You're gonna get better games, because if you've got so many of the same people around, you know what they're collecting, you know what they're going to be having, but it's the kind of the unknown of what that said person has, which I always think is interesting. You know, Alex, Big Al's Arcade Wrecking Crew, or whatever we call him, he had some great stuff. You know, Sega Zombie did, Retro Ed, Retro Hulkster, his first time up in the loft, old Roger doing it, which I thought was great, and Champion 2D Rob with his very loud mic was very interesting.
Yeah.
But no, you know, it's just great fun, and I know you guys have bought bits before. I've bought stuff. I try not to, because I think everyone else should buy it before me. But sometimes I can't help myself, and I'm like, I have that.
Well, I got something actually on that swap shop. When I see Ed, I'll be picking that up of him.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And speaking of which, you got one coming up, haven't you, Chef?
Yes. So this Sunday, which will be the 23rd of Feb, I've got a swap shop back. It's you know, again, a couple of people won last month. So Sega Zombie, I think he wants to kind of do it every month again, like he was before. But that's the feeling that he's come across with me about it. Big Al obviously had stuff to sell still. Ginger Hippie Gaming, which we know has moved house and sold lots of bits and pieces, so that's going to be an interesting one. I forgot his name now. Geordie Retro Chaser. He's YouTubed him anyway. He's been on multiple times, and he's had loads of Toys R Us signs and Toys R Us jackets and jumpers, which I think, where the hell did you get that from? So yeah, it's just a good mix of people. So hopefully there'll be some good stuff on there again, guys. So yeah, this Sunday, 23rd of February, 8 p.m, live from God's Country. Your chance to trade with the tubers. Swap Shop.
Oh, look at that! Great advertising. I was going to ask, as obviously you said you've been doing the show on and off since lockdown. Obviously, the last year you've kind of been off, but certainly before that. Do you think about like improvements you want to make to the show, different formats? I know in the past you've mentioned potentially doing a toy focus one, for instance, with some people. Like, is that stuff you still want to continue to do? Are there other ideas you might have?
Yeah, I've reached out to many of the toy people who I know of, and they are interested. But obviously, you know, it's what I think a lot of us, we're all in our early 40s, let's say, and we've got kids and stuff. So I think it's not as easy to say, yeah, I can do that Sunday. And I think that's what a lot of the time I get people, I'll come on. And then when they think, oh, I need to, it's this Sunday, I'm like, I can't do it. So it's just trying to lock them down. Obviously, I'd love to. I've said to you guys, I want to get Theo from Slimehouse on, whether he sells or just comes on, because I love his content. We all love his content.
Mm.
And he is someone who has expressed interest on coming on with a few other guys, and hopefully I'm going to meet a few of the guys at an event coming up soon, which would be cool. So I'm trying to do a toy one. I want to do a board game one, but I struggle, Martin, because I don't know enough. So obviously you'll need to be involved. But regardless, I want to try and get to those areas of things where I don't really know. I had someone actually ask me, do you sell multi control vehicles? And I'm like, well, no, but you can do if you want. So, I think it's just because it's called SwapShop, it's anything. Technically, it's anything, but it's only video game related or retro related because it's us. If that makes sense. So you could sell anything. I think we had that one time off that one tuber who would not be named. Showed a Nescafe Dolce Gusto coffee machine as a joke, and I think he showed a frying pan and a few other things. But you can sell anything really. But I'd like to do more other bits. I think it's just trying to work out the dates with people and scheduling it correctly so that we can get a toy one. I think has to be done, especially for Lee. I think with Lee's collecting, especially and you as well, Martin. But I think it's just something that has to get done. I just need to, like I say, hopefully soon we can get that sorted out, and then maybe move on to something else, whether it's board games,
comic books would be another one.
Comic books is another good one. I mean, I watch like you, Lee. I watch a lot of comic book tubers, but a lot of them are across the pond. There's not many I follow over this side. To be fair, I mean, I'm sure there is. I know there obviously there is. But I haven't found them yet. So, definitely. Comics, board games, video games, toys, cars. I don't know. Like, we'll have to wait and see what we can do.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I think, like, especially in our age group, we're all kind of into a bit of everything anyway, aren't we? I mean, most people are into, like, they're not just into gaming, they're into something else, aren't they? Most people.
Yeah.
And I thought that might be a nice way to expand the audience. Is a bit like this podcast. We call it Geek Bait because we want to talk about everything that's geeky, nerdy, whatever you want to call it. And I think the same for the swap shop. Ultimately, I think you could bring anything onto the swap shop as long as it's kind of in the genre of geek culture, So be it toys, board games, comics, Magic the Gathering cards, Pokemon, toy games, obviously, is one that's already being done. But it would be nice to see. And that way you also then widen your reach of the types of individuals that get involved as well. Like you say, representing other channels, other people in other hobbies. I think it would be really cool. So, I think the audience at the moment obviously is very video game focused. But I would bet in probably a lot of those video game people, they also have a side hobby as well, a bit like us, yes, you could say Nerdy Geezer, you are massive into video games, but then you also have this and this, and the same with myself, it's video games, and it's miniature wargaming, and it's board gaming, and so on and so forth. So I wouldn't be surprised that we're not unique in that respect. I imagine many other people have a not side hustle, but side hobby, into what they're into. So I think it's really good, man. I think it's great. I'm glad it's back.
I'll tell you one thing quickly that I bought a lot of off SwapShop. I bought a lot of VHS, a lot of big box VHS. I bought a lot, to be fair. I remember Sai had tons at one point, and I bought a good wedge. So again, like we did all that time between us, we were talking. We didn't even mention movies. So, it could be a Laserdisc special, VHS special, Betamax, but not Knight Rider on the playback, all right, on the DVD. We can't have that on there.
No, don't do that.
Bless it.
Cool, excellent. I was going to talk about some video gaming that I've been doing recently, so it'd be interesting to see what games you guys have been playing as well. Most of my time has been spent playing a new game called Path of Exile 2. Has either of you heard of Path of Exile?
I've heard of it. I haven't played it.
So it's very similar to the Diablo range of games. So
Oh,
most recent one being Diablo 4, which, funny enough, I know Sega Zombie's just been playing recently, given some of the chat that's been going on. So maybe he'll talk about that at some point on one of his videos. But yes, this is a game that's currently in early access, and this is a new trend in PC gaming. I don't know if anyone's noticed this. I don't think it happens so much in console gaming, but certainly in the PC world, games get released about a year before they actually get released, and they call it
oh,
early access. So it's a way to make you buy a game and then potentially buy it again when it gets fully released, or buy a game that will be eventually free in the future. So you're buying early access to this game. So yeah, Path of Exile 2 came out in early access, I think, about 5 or 6 months ago. And when it goes full release, it will actually be free. But if you want to play the game early, you can join this early access process. I think it's about 15 quid. You can get a key for it, and it means you can play the game before anybody else. So yeah, I've been playing that, and like I say, this if you've played any Diablo game before, it's I would say it's like playing Diablo, but almost like the next level up. Like it's Diablo on steroids. It's got a lot more in-depth combat and a lot more in-depth choices around the way you build your character. It's ultimately, the game is it's an adventure version of Gauntlet. It's go into a map,
wow.
have hundreds and hundreds of monsters thrown at you, survive, kill, get loot, grow your character in power, learn more abilities, and keep going. Take on massive bosses and all this sort of stuff. Really fun. Like if you genuinely like games like in the old days, Gauntlet or any of the Diablo series, and you like also looter shooters where you just like killing loads of stuff and getting loads of loot, then you'll probably like Path of Exile or even Diablo 4, because that's what those games are. They are dungeon delvers, hack and slash, destroy everything, collect gear, power up, and keep going and rinse and repeat. So yeah, I've been playing that game. I think I've done like 40-50 hours into it already.
Oh, wow.
Sort of, and I've not reached the end game yet. I've kind of got a character to like level 77 or something. I think you got up to 120 on levels. But yeah, just genuinely really, really good fun game. And I definitely think you probably don't need to play it right now. Like, it will be free in about 6 to 12 months time, and obviously they'll polish the game by then. I think the end game is still needing a lot of work. But for 15 quid, like, to me, I always judge things on how much entertainment I've got from it. So for 15 quid for 58 hours of gaming, that seems like a pretty good deal to me. That seems like
Yeah.
that's well worth its money, right? So when you think you go to a cinema and pay for a 2-hour film that you might not have liked and that costs you the same amount of money, a 60-hour entertainment with a video game for 15 quid is a pretty good deal. So yeah, I don't know if you guys played any of those types of games before. Have you played any of the Diablo games before? Chef, have you played any Diablo games before?
Yeah, I played Diablos on PS3
Okay.
and maybe on the PS4. I played a few betas before, if that's similar to what you're saying.
Yeah, that's pretty much,
Um,
yeah. Early access is like even before a beta almost,
oh, right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I played a few betas of Assassin's Creed, and when I forget the name of the Star Wars game, when we got the new one on the PS4, I can't think what it's called. Not the
Star Wars
Jedi one,
Battlegrounds
Battleground or Battlefront or
or
whatever it's
Battlefront. I
called. One of
mean,
them
yeah,
ones.
Battlefront. Yeah,
That was a beta one. I played that.
Yeah.
It says I got picked, but I probably didn't. It just like whatever. Oh, you've been picked. No, I really
All the
haven't.
other
You just
2
called.
million people that got picked.
Yeah. I played them, and they were good fun, and I must admit they were a lot different than the finished product. There was
Hmm.
oh
lots of
yeah, they
bits and
were
pieces.
broken.
Yeah, there
They
was
were
lots of things you
broken.
couldn't do. I remember Assassin's Creed, you couldn't use any of your special weapons. You could only use your dagger. I couldn't pick up anything off the floor, like a weapon on the floor. It was very strange. But it was good to see what they were working on game wise. But Diablos, I've not played any of the more recent ones. Put it that way.
Yeah, so PS3, PS4, that probably would have been Diablo 3, I imagine.
I think
Yeah.
3 was on PS3 and I think 4 was on PS4, or maybe I'm wrong.
I think it was, yeah. I don't know how well it ran, but it would have been available for PS4, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I
Yeah.
should get on the Xbox really. Saying that, I should try them out on the Xbox.
Yes, and I think now because Microsoft don't they own Blizzard? I think Diablo is even on Xbox Game Pass. So
Oh, if it is, then all right. I know what you
yeah,
mean.
so if you have that, I think you can play it. I'm pretty sure Diablo is on Xbox Game Pass. What about yourself, Lee? You played any Diablo type games or anything like that?
I've got to be honest, them sort of games, they don't really interest me. I think a lot of it's probably because I know it's going to require a lot of time, which I just don't have. I mean, for example, I got so far into RoboCop Rogue City, and I haven't gone back to it because I just haven't got the time at the moment.
Mm.
So this is the problem I have with a lot of these games is they require a hell of a lot of time, and quite often I get so much into them, and then I don't ever get to finish them, so I just don't get the time. So, and I don't know what it is like. This is going to probably sound like swearing to you guys, but because you like it. But I don't know. It just seems like there was a huge abundance of them sort of games at one stage, and I feel like there just seemed to be a new one coming all of the time, and it just didn't interest me. I'm one of these sort of people. I mean, I've never been someone who. It's going to sound bad me saying this. I'll try and put this in a way so I don't sound like I'm insulting people, but I'm not like someone who likes to follow the crowd. I'm not. I like to do my own thing and play my own thing. Just because everyone else is playing it, I don't necessarily want to. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, and
That's fair enough.
I
That's
find
right.
with
Yeah.
them games like is that loads of people jumped on it and were going on about it, and sometimes that's enough to put me off a game. Because I'm like, well, now I don't want to play it, sort of thing. So
Yeah, I can understand. I mean, certainly from a time point of view, the yes with Diablo 4 or Path of Exile or Path of Exile 2 and all the other ones that are like it, there aren't too many of that type of game. Whilst you can put in 50, 60, 100, 200 plus hours if you wanted to, you can also play like 5 minutes, because it's dungeon delving. You can jump into a dungeon, kill a load of monsters, take on a boss, and you can be done in 10 minutes. Like that it's all about the sort of rinse and repeat of it and gaining power and things like that. So there's a very quick progression system in there. Unlike if you wouldn't compare it to say like a Baldur's Gate 3 or a Witcher type game, where those games are just humongous adventure games and there is a defined end. Like you'll never see that. Where Diablo 4 and Path of Exile, there is a story, but the story is almost a side to the sort of progression piece. Just so you don't have to worry about there is no end as such. It's all about just enjoying the gameplay and the cycle of the gameplay. So obviously if it's not, it's definitely not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I tend to play these games like it's like almost like a TV show or something. I'll binge playing it and then I probably won't touch it for a year. So I know in my head that actually when Path of Exile 2 goes out to full release, I'm probably not going to play it, because I'd have binged it. I'd have done my 100 hours in it, and unless there's something dramatically different, I'll probably be done with the game. And that's how I tend to play a lot of games. I'll play it loads, and then I'll go, you know what, I'm done now, and I'll never go back to it. But yeah, what games has everyone else been playing? Lee, continue. What game have you been playing recently, or games?
well, this is the thing, right? And I was just going to say this. I think another thing with me is I found my taste has changed. Like, I mean, there was a time when I'd go for the highly graphical looking stuff, all the very nice, pristine, and little bow on it, all that. But I think I've got to a point now, like obviously, I play probably more retro anyway. But I've got to this point now where I like a lot of the the pixel graphic sort of games, like the Switch sort of stuff. So recently I've been playing Hunt Down, and that's mainly because I did play it a couple of weeks back, but then You Star Gamer mentioned it the other day and said that he'd been enjoying it. And straight away I was like, yeah, I haven't played that for a while. So I banged it on. It's a rock hard game, I'm not gonna lie. It's like the old 16-bit games were, it's a typical pixel graphic, run and gun, balls hard. You'll pull your hair out if you've got any, but I don't know. There's something about it. It just makes you keep going back to it and trying to get that a little bit further. So I've been playing that, and what was the other one I was playing the other day? There was something else as well that I was ducking in and out of. I know I had Strider on at one point because I recently picked that up on cartridge. box complete, so I had that on. There was something else as well. I just can't think what it was now, though. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe it comes to you, Chef. What you been up to? What games you been playing?
So I've been playing quite a bit of Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on the Xbox and the multiplayer with a few work pals, but we're filming this live on location in my bedroom, and next to my bed. Why are you laughing? Next to my bed,
I get to enjoy you laying on your bed. The listeners don't get to see what I'm seeing.
With the boxes behind me full of meaningless stuff. You can't see this, but I've been playing. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. Adventure Time: Secret of the Nameless Kingdom. Now this plays just like Zelda, and it's really really cool. And I haven't finished it yet. As when I say Zelda, I mean Link to the Past.
Yeah.
I think it's got a PS3, Xbox 360. And I think I just grabbed it on the 3DS. I've been playing that at night time, and I've been playing 2 games that I picked up from the retro realm: Darkwing Duck on the Game Boy and Home Alone 2. I like to have a few little systems next to me when I'm in bed, like to play. I'm not really a mobile gamer. A lot of people play mobile game. I'm not really a massive mobile gamer, but I've been playing those, and then Death Wish and Falters. I paid, I think, £2.50 over Christmas. I downloaded it. It plays like Sunset Riders, but you can be Dirty Harry, Death Wish. I forgot Charles Bronson, whatever his name was in that movie, and then you can be 2 female characters. One's like a Jackie Brown kind of character, and it's like Sunset Riders, but set in the 70s. And then I downloaded it, played. It's really good. Like, it's, again, 16-bit kind of graphics. And I've just pre-ordered it. Just ordered it on limited run because they repressed a load of them because it went out of stock for ages. But yeah, that was really good. So I've just been like Lee, been playing this bit of that, a bit of this. Nothing really consistent, just a bit of everything, really.
Nice. I've been tempted to. I've got. We've got 4 switches in this house, and the switch lights now very rarely ever get touched. They've been in a drawer doing nothing. So I was tempted to sort of keep one next to the bed and do that sort of thing when you sort of go to bed and your missus is reading or whatever. I tend to just roll over and try and go to sleep, but I was thinking that might be a nice time to just try and play through some games, because I've been wanting to play through this year. I've made a commitment to trying out a proper JRPG. I've never played a real hardcore JRPG, just because I always like to think I'm trying to keep myself open to new types of game. Like, I always think they're not for me, but you don't know that until you actually try and play one. So I bought the Final Fantasy collection on Switch. I think it's like the first 6 games, I think, remastered for the Switch. So I'm thinking about like just playing through one of those, probably obviously play through the first one, and that might be a nice thing to sort of keep by the side of the bed, go in, play for half an hour, put it down, and I guess you'll complete it over the course of a couple of months. I assume those games are fairly big. They normally are JRPGs. I don't think they're small games, are they? So but yeah, it's a nice idea that to have something just handheld that you can just have a quick play on before you head off. Nice. Any other games? Oh, the thing I was going to talk about. See, it's really nice actually to hear you saying it's not my game of choice, by the way, but playing Call of Duty 6 with a bunch of mates, essentially, like from work and stuff. That's quite nice. Tell us a bit about that, Chef.
So my number 2 is a girl called Sam, and at my job now, and she loves it. She loves playing it, and her partner loves playing it as well. And they play like death matches and stuff. And she was like, "Oh, do you play?" I'm like, "Yeah, I play." I tend to find the campaign games I'm really good at. But I say really good. I'm good at them. And then when I started playing Warzone, I was like, this is not the same. This is not the same. People sliding around and killing me and cutting me up, and I'm just like, this isn't fair. So I've been playing that, and it's good fun playing with a group of people. I was meant to play last night, but I fell asleep, and I even missed Monday Night Retro, which I was very disappointed in myself.
Disgusting
So
behaviour.
I'm extremely sorry. It's disgusting behavior. I will thrash myself later. And they were playing last night. And when I woke back up, I was like, oh, I'm going to bed, mate. But they were playing until gone midnight on the multiplayer, because there's now a Terminator skin, so you can be Arnie or the or the T800, and it looks pretty cool. To be fair, I think it finishes today, like to buy it as such. So I might have to buy that today, because I've got a few skins, but I haven't got the Terminator one, and it's pretty cool, to be fair. Yeah, so but it's great.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you up there, but there's the next lot that's coming out. I think of Turtles, isn't there? I saw a article on it the other day. Yeah.
Well, it's like Fortnite. Fortnite actually. I mean, I don't play Fortnite at all, but they have some really cool skins. They do. I must admit. I mean, I bought Rambo and I bought Die Hard, John McClane. But when I don't know why this happened, but when I changed to my PS5, I lost them. And I tried to get them back for Activision, and I couldn't get them back. So they gave me a free skin. They said, "Oh, pick one. We give you." They gave me the credits, and I bought a Gundam skin. But yeah, I wanted like Rambo and John McClane back because it was pretty cool. But
I was gonna criticize you for obviously using microtransactions and buying skins on Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But then I realized that when you said the turtle skins, I own all of the turtle skins on Fortnite, because when I play with my 3 boys, we all play a turtle. So we play as the squad of turtles. I have the Terminator skins on Fortnite, the Ripley skin from Alien. Basically, anytime there's like an 80s or retro type skin, I'm like, oh, go on then, I'll get it. So yeah,
that's cool. That's cool.
But I do play with the kids, so that we like to have when we play, we're like, oh, so what's the theme for this one? And they'll be like, oh, let's go as the turtles, or let's go as action heroes, or let's go as Marvel skins or something. So they all like to pick a skin that we play a squad. So but what I liked was that it reminds me of back in the day, and funny enough, this is the topic I heard you guys talking about today, with the Xbox 360. That was when I mostly played online.
Yeah.
And I think because it was Xbox Live back then was so easy, and you had the headset. I played World at War with my friends. So that was that Medal of Honor or Call of Duty? What's World at War?
No, that was Call of Duty, wasn't it?
Call of Duty,
Call of Duty.
Because I've always been a World War II. If I'm going to play a sort of games, I like the World War II rather than the more modern era. But hearing you now play games with friends online and do all that, I think it's really cool that still exists with local, rather than just playing with randoms online. You know, you can always go and enter a lobby into something. But I think playing with people who you can then see the next day and say, oh, you know, that slide you did where you took out so-and-so was really cool. Or, I can't believe you shot me in the head when you blew up that whatever. You know, I think it's that kind of, that reminds me of old school gaming and playing with people that you know. Yeah, I think it's a nice little story. Are you playing the what's it called now? Is it like the where you go from like 100 players to 1? Is it Battleground or whatever it's called? Or
so Warzone? So the
Warzone,
Warzone is that one. I do play that, but because I've got Black Ops 6, you get the multiplayer, so you get a few different maps, and you get the zombies. The zombies are cool, but they can be quite tough, to be fair. I'm not a massive fan of that, but you get obviously the more missions and the more headshots and this and that, you get different weapons, different camouflages for your weapons and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I do play the Warzone. I used to play a lot of PUBG, Martin. I don't know, Players Unknown, Battlegrounds. I love playing that. I do actually feel that is a better game than COD, but graphically it doesn't look better.
Yeah.
But gameplay, it plays so well. I mean, you could get a scope that was times 100, so you could zoom in a mile away and shoot someone. It's really not fair, but if you got it, it was really good fun. But not a lot of people play that. My brother plays that, but
I mean, I think PUBG wasn't that one of the games that kind of started the whole battleground genre, really, wasn't it? Like the 100 to 1 type, you know, because even Fortnite was originally the Save the Earth game, or whatever it's called, and then they introduced what you now see as Fortnite. What you now think when you now think of Fortnite, you think of the game where you're going 100 people drop into an area, they kill each other down to the last person. That wasn't actually the original game. The original game was against building bases and defending bases and against aliens and monsters and stuff like that. But when that sort of genre got popularized, and I think PUBG was one of the first people to do that, these other games then adopted, okay, well, we're also going to have this kind of battleground environment like Warzones, Fortnite, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think PUBG still has one of those kind of big followings, I think, especially on mobile as well, I think. So yeah, I always struggle with those games because I never know what the hell I'm picking up. That's when I lost my love of Call of Duty. When you drop into an area and it's like you pick up a machine gun, you want to use a machine gun, but now you have to pick up a machine gun, pick up the right stock for it, pick up the right scope for it, pick up the right silencer for it, or whatever. Like, there's so many add-ons for your gun. You spend half the time freaking out about what's in your inventory, and then you just get marmalized by someone who knows what they're doing.
Exactly that. Yeah, that's true.
Lee, you into your shooters at all?
I mean, like what you were saying, I mean, back during the Xbox 360 days, I used to play with people at work, and like what Chef's been saying, you'd be killing each other that night and then back in work the following day talking about it. That's probably the last time I did that, to be honest. Actually, no, that's not entirely true. When I got the PS4, I know that even Connor used to jump on with us. We used to play some of the Call of Duties, but mainly we played Battlefront 1 and 2, the Star Wars games, and Destiny as well.
Yeah. Oh, Destiny. Yeah. I played a lot of Destiny.
Yeah, although Destiny had a lot of problems. It was pretty broken. And very repetitive as well. We got bored with that quite quickly.
Yeah. Well, to me, Destiny is that's what, when we go right back to the beginning of the conversation, Destiny is basically a first-person version of things like Diablo 4 and Path of Exile. Like, if you took that same cycle of gameplay, like go to an area, kill loads of things, get loot, repeat, kill bosses, get loot, repeat. That's essentially what those games are. And Destiny is exactly that, but from a first-person point of view. But it was still a good game. Like I say, I binge played it again, and Destiny 2, probably not as much because there wasn't enough difference between the two games to really warrant it, but still a good game for its time. I think it was quite a good fun one. But this is making me feel like we definitely need I don't know how we do it, but a gaming night where we get onto some multiplayer gaming together and all dying in Call of Duty or something. We could even stream it. It'd be quite good fun. So yes, well, I like the back in playing with friends online, bit of banter and all the rest of it. I think that's a cool thing you're doing, Chef. So it's a nice one. Lee, what else have you been up to?
So the other thing I was going to mention was about, and I think your topic might relate to this as well, Martin, right? Was I'm thinning down my Xbox 360 collection. So obviously one of the things obviously impacting this was my first topic in a lot of ways. I've got games sitting here, some of them that still fetch a few quid, and it's like, well, how long is it going to be before they rot? that's one of the things, So that's kind of influenced my decision slightly. But the other reason is because, and I've said this before, I've been picking up a lot more cartridge-based stuff, and when I say cartridge, that includes things like DS and Switch and stuff like that as well, because they are still effectively a cartridge, just much smaller, right? But also it's because I've got Xbox Game Pass. Obviously I've got a PC. I've got an Xbox One. I've got various other ways of playing some of these games. And also some of these games you can't even play now anyway, because the servers you would have used for them online are no longer available. So yet for some reason, some of these games still fetch a few quid at CEX. So what I've been doing, because I want to pick up more cartridge-based stuff, some more 8-bit and 16-bit predominantly, I've been thinning down. I've even thinned out some of my PS2 as well, so I can chop it in and pick up some more cartridges, because it's like, well, they're sitting there and I'm not using them, and I have other ways to play it. So they're just going to sit there, and effectively, they are literally going to just sit there and rot if I don't get rid of them while they're worth something, I suppose. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I think really when it comes down to it, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to get rid of all my disc space stuff because I'm still going to collect Japanese Saturn, and I might pick up the odd PS1 game, but I think I'm probably wherever I want to be with that. Dreamcast is always something I pick up if I see it. But I think other than that, I'm pretty much done when it comes to disc-based games, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sort of to that topic is where I was thinking, well, I have been recently, and I think I've spoken about it before, and I guess there's another way of saying it, but I'm sort of niching down my focus. And I kind of agree with what you're saying there. It's really hard to look, as much as I loved the Xbox 360 era, because I think it was my most prolific online gaming experience, like, playing the Call of Duties regularly, almost every single night, so I've really happy, fond memories of playing with workmates or friends doing that. I don't think I've gone back to it in a long time. Like, I don't think I've ever looked up at the few Xbox 360 games I've got up there and gone, you know what, I'm going to put on so and so. And the PS3 I'd put in the same era as well. The PS3 is probably one of my favorite consoles of all time. Like, it's just got some, when I think about the beginning to end of that collection of games, there's some absolute stonkers in there that are just fantastic. But again, would I go back to it, or would I just now go, oh well, there's a upscaled version on PS5 I could just play, or there's a PC version of that game which I can run at higher resolutions and faster and all the rest of it. So the actual whilst I have really fond memories of the system, would I collect it? Probably not now. I think I've got the games I've got. I don't see myself adding any PS3, Xbox, even PS4 games anymore. I just don't really see the need, unless there's like a free upscale. I think like if you bought Cyberpunk on this PS4, you got a free upgrade to the PS5 version, and therefore it was a cheaper way to get that game if you were that bothered. I think they've just done it with Days Gone as well. If you own the PS4 version of Days Gone, when the PS5 version comes out, you can get a 10 quid upgrade, I think. For those people,
that's getting a remaster, isn't it now? Which I think is a bit pointless. They just need to make a number 2. I think it's we've been talking about it the last couple of episodes. I've been playing it. I finished it again. It's a great game. Just need a number 2. It's been too long. We don't want a remaster. You want a new game.
Yeah. But yeah, I think to your point, Lee, I think if you're umming and ahhing about that sort of scenario, you're best off pulling the trigger now, right? Because I think they're almost at especially Xbox 360, I think that's rocketed in price because of things like Xbox Live being down. You can't purchase the games online anymore and things like that, can you? So I think there are a few Xbox games that have really rocketed in price. And to your point around not being able to play some of these games, I've just discovered this because I'm trying to think of it. It's a Need for Speed game, and it's the one where you race across America, like you're being hunted by gangsters and stuff, and you have to race. I want to say Coast to Coast, but it's not called Coast to Coast because that's a different game. No, I can't think of what it's called. On the Run, I think it's called Need for Speed On the Run.
Oh right, okay.
And the game is, you race from, I think, the west coast to the east coast of America, whilst being chased by gangsters and stuff like that. Now, the problem with that game is, if you put it in, even though you're going to play it essentially offline, you're going to just play the campaign. It checks to see if the servers are online, says they're not, and then quits the game. The only way to get the game to run is to unplug either the network cable from your PS3 or disable the wireless on your PS3, and then it tricks the game into going offline, and then it will let you play the campaign essentially. But that's just really crap. Like, I think that's such a terrible thing to do. So yeah, that was one of those instances where I'm like, I actually really wanted to play a PS3 game, but you've actually put a barrier to entry by making me have to do, and that's only me finding that out. Most people probably wouldn't even go that far to work it out. So it is a real shame that they've put in checks into these games that, because then the servers are no longer there, which I'm totally fine with. You would think the last patch they would do would be to remove the fact that it's going to check online to see if the servers are up. Because
And do you know what you've mentioned there is kind of the reason why I went over to PC. Because at least with PC, like for example, you've got GOG and things like that actively fix old games so that they will work on new systems.
Yeah,
you know, and that's the reason why I went over to PC, because I am fed up with buying games and then not being able to play them a few years down the line. And you pay good money for these things. Why shouldn't you be able to play them when you want to?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
And even just to sing GOG's praises for a second, they even let you download the installable. So that if GOG ever went down, if GOG ever went bust, that's okay. You've still got all of the games you bought from them as actual installables, so that you don't need the service. So where that's different from the likes of Steam or anything like that, where if Steam went down, you've obviously got your library in Steam. But GOG have gone that one step further and said, no, you buy the game, you can install it via our installer, you can use the GOG platform if you want, but you can also just download. So that's how I've gotten most of my games onto my XP PC, because I don't want to pop my XP PC on the internet because that would be bad. So what I do is I use my normal PC, I download the executables, I then network transfer them over to my XP PC, and I run them on there, and they run perfectly. They just work. So it's a really good service there to make sure that you can keep the games you've purchased, and they will obviously work not connected to the internet. So so yeah, it's I think what you're doing is right, and I think we all go through it. I don't know, Chef, you collect everything. So do you ever think about niching, or do you ever think about not? Is there anything you don't collect for anymore, or are you kind of still out there for everything?
I've said a few times that once the games room is built, I will thin everything down to things that I actually want to play, because I know I've got tons of stuff that I'm not going to play. You know, and this is something as well, I've been collecting since I was little. So when I was going car boots and when I was seeing stuff I haven't got, I was just picking it up and collecting it, and it was so cheap. Whereas it's a bit different now, but I'm grateful that, you know, I picked up certain games when they was cheaper, because I wasn't, you know, I'm not paying £500 for Snatcher, or I'm paying, you know, £80 for Moonwalker on the Sega Mega Drive, or like for a complete copy. I didn't pay that. So certain things, I think I'll just niche down, if you will. But I collect, you know, like NES, Super NES, N64, Famicom Disc, Super Famicom. You know, that's just Nintendo stuff, and then all the Sega stuff, and then the PlayStation and the Xboxes, and then the, you know, PC Engine, which is slowly coming into collection, and then handheld stuff, and, you know, Panasonic 3DO and Philips CDI. I mean, you can keep going and going and going. There's, you know, I just want to have a bit of everything, really.
Yeah,
which is mad to think about it, but I think it's where we are with today. You know, if you've got a few quid, you can kind of buy whatever, really, I guess, or even emulate it in some respect. You can emulate these games in just as good as you would sitting in front of a TV playing them. But I will definitely dwindle down the games to things that I will play, and not have so much Britney Spears dance off on the PS2 or whatever it is, or, you know, Muppets in Space on the PS1. Like, things like that will just be gone, and some of them actually have value. You know, Lee was talking about the Xbox 360. I only bought Xbox to play Halo originally. That was the only reason why. I only bought a 360 to play Gears of War and Halo, and the same as Xbox One. And then when I bought my Xbox Series X, I only bought that to play the new Halo, which I didn't really enjoy anyway. Not really, to be fair. I'm just, you know, I'm not an Xbox fan as such, but I must admit, the PS2 era, Xbox absolutely smashed it on graphics. You know, there's a lot of games I will play on the PS2 rather than, sorry, a lot of games I play on the Xbox than the PS2. You know, Outrun on the Xbox is like arcade perfect, literally. And there's loads of other games, but yeah, I just think I'll just slim it down to things I really want to play. Maybe move on a few systems systems. Who knows? I've got multiples of things, I don't need. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. I think we're all excited to see, because I think what's going to be funny about you is I think you've even forgotten what you've got. So you're going to be having discoveries as you go through it all again, and you go, no, I didn't even know I had that.
The doubles and trebles and the quadruples are going to be a joke. It's going to be a joke. I'm telling you. I know full well I've got at least 3 or 4 Metal Gear Solid on the PS1s. I know I have, because if I see them, I grab them. There's certain games you grab if you're out and about, like Resident Evils and Dino Crisis. You grab them if you see them, and you might not necessarily sell them, but you keep them and think, oh, I wonder if it's a better condition than my one. And then you pick another. It just gets a bit out of hand. I probably got a condition, Martin. I probably need some tablets.
As a rule, to confirm what you just said there, whenever I see PS1, I always grab it because, like you say, condition. How many times you had one that's got a crack or the hinges broke on the case? The cases are rubbish, aren't they? Whenever I see one, I always grab it if it's in good nick. Yeah.
I think it's just a collecting habit. If I see something of value that I think I can trade on, give to you guys or whatever, swap with you guys, I think it's just something, it's like mine. When I come to yours with Lee for your 100th episode of Monday Night Retro, you played the Famicom disc system, and now I can tell you want one. All right.
Oh,
and
definitely. Yeah.
That's like a 45-year-old system.
Yeah.
Like, and that it's just a piece of history. It's just, you've got to have it in your collection. It's just nuts, really. It's just something. You'll have it. You have a couple of games on it, but it's just like you say, mine. It's the romance. It's that nostalgic feel of putting that disc in as you felt or you did, and things like that. It's just, I think it's just part of it, and it's the same with the PS1. Hearing that intro of the PS1, I think even now is wicked. I love that intro of the little do 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 that you can't beat that, and I think that's just part of the nostalgia that we all love when it comes to gaming.
Yeah, I think when I look at that family, it's the uniqueness that I love. Like it's the forbiddenness of it, right? Like we never had that. It's why I feel about things like Neo Geo. It was the we've all seen, like when I was a kid, I might not have had all of the systems, but I saw all of the systems. I saw the Mega Drives, the Super Nintendos, the Amigas, the even some of them, the Philips CDIs, even even they were quite obscure, but you never saw anyone with a Neo Geo. You never saw, unless you saw it in a shop somewhere or something on display, or a market or somewhere. But the distance, so it's almost like those forbidden fruits of like going, oh man, I can now own one of those systems, and obviously because of that disc system, those discs speak to me again, because I'm a lover of all things floppy. So the disc system to me was right up my street. So I will no doubt own one of those at some point when you sell me your one, or you find me another one.
I want one too.
I'm on the lookout, mate. Trust me. I'm on the lookout. They do pop up, but because they are so nichey, they just go so quick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They're not like,
They're crazy money now as well.
Yeah.
They're not cheap. But you know what's so cool about them, Lee? They play disc and they play cartridge. That's why they're so cool. So even if the disc system didn't work for some reason, you can still play the cartridges, which is cool anyway.
Sorry, you still on about the Twin Famicom? I thought you was on about the Neo Geo. That's what I want.
No, well, both. Yeah.
All of them. All of them. All of these.
I want a cartridge Neo Geo.
Yeah. I think for myself, I'm going to continue to focus in on the areas that I've always said. So, like, I do own a smattering of everything. Like, I think it's nice to have, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, and then have like 10 games that represent that system. And I think that's what I'll continue to do. And then the systems that really speak to me is definitely in that home computing era. So when I think like ZX81, Commodore 16, Commodore 64, the Amiga, then PC. Like I feel like that's where I've always been. I've always been at the end of a keyboard. Like that's kind of even my career. That's what made me do the job I do, is that interaction with a computer. So I'll still collect for like the Super Nintendo and the Game Gear, because those are the two main consoles I had like when I was young. So they speak to me the most. But really, I think a lot of my focus this year is going to be in personal computing. You know, it will be the Amiga, the Commodore 64, the PC, and so on and so forth. Because I just know that's where I'm happiest. Like when I play those games, that's where I get the most joy. And I think the control methods are also great. You know, you can use a pad, you can use a keyboard and mouse, you can use an old school joystick. You know, some of the joysticks are amazing. So there's lots that you can do, and I just know that's kind of where my love is. Every time I go back to it, I kind of get that feeling where if I fire up the Saturn, it's a cool machine, I do like it,
Yeah,
but I don't get the same feel, you know. And I don't think you can mask that. You just know where you're happy, you know. Like when we do the Worms, when I play and we play Worms, it just cracks me up because of everything I'm doing is just fun. I'm not sure I'd get the same feeling if I played it on other systems. So yeah. To go to what you were saying there, Lee, about sort of maybe looking at moving on some of these things. I think I'm in the same space of like niching into the areas that I'm truly passionate about, and then just having a collection of other bits so I can have a representation of those systems, but definitely not collecting, you know, 50, 60, 100 games of those systems. So yes. Chef, anything else going on with you?
Nah, mate, nothing
No?
really. Just looking forward to SwapShop. Looking forward to the next podcast with you guys, and obviously adventures out and about. Really.
Yeah, we should talk about that, shouldn't we? Actually, I'll just check in with Lee first. Anything else going on? Lee, you wanted to talk about was it Star Trek you wanted to kind of just touch on as well, didn't you? Before we talk about our adventures.
Yeah. So I've been watching a lot of Star Trek Enterprise recently, because let me tell you how I got to this sort of thing first. So basically, I picked up a box set. I don't know if you guys remember me complaining about this new Blu-ray box set that they got, where they're stacking like 3 discs on top of each other.
Yeah.
And you can't get them out. Like, honestly, I honestly thought I was going to snap the discs in half. But then I realized there's a technique. So what you do is you stack 3 on top, and then you can get them off. So I was having to like kind of negotiate it so I could get them off doing that. Right.
So you bought a box set and also a puzzle, which is nice. It's like,
Well,
you know.
Nice.
No, I also bought a CD wallet because I thought, you know what, sod this. I'm not going to do this every time I want a disc out. So they're all in a CD wallet now. The box is on the shelf, but they're in a wallet. So, but anyway, the point of what I was getting to is that I suddenly realised that I was spending a lot of my time watching loads of YouTube. In fact, at times to a point where I'm literally watching any old thing on YouTube. You know, so. And I thought, you know what? I've got these box sets just sitting there, and I'm doing nothing with them. I really need to start watching these. So where I've been off the last few days, I've been banging a disc on each night, and what I've done is I've got myself right up to the last series. Now, I don't know if you know anything about Star Trek Enterprise. It got cancelled, so it only ended up being like 4 series. But the problem is that it really started to come into its own in the 3rd season. Just the last episode of season 2 set it up for season 3, and season 3 is like a kind of overarching story, right? And that's when it really came into its own. But of course, it got cancelled during season 3. So then what happened was with season 4, they basically went, right, all these ideas we had, chuck them all in the last season. So what you've got then is, you know, like normally with Star Trek, you'll get like a collection of filler episodes here and there until the big thing happens in the middle and the big thing happens in the end. But when you watch them last 2 seasons of Enterprise, that's not what you're getting. You're getting like a real big overarching story for season 3 with very little filler. And then you get to season 4 and it's just like belter after belter of an episode. So lots of ideas being chucked in there. So no episodes like the one before it. They're all very different, right? So I guess what I was trying to get to when I'm saying this is, obviously I'm talking about it because this is something I've been doing. But the other thing is, a lot of people wrote off Enterprise because it was a prequel. I mean, initially they didn't even actually call it Star Trek Enterprise. They just named it Enterprise, but then decided to change it to Star Trek because there was some confusion. But like I say, a lot of people wrote it off because they didn't want to go back. They didn't want another prequel. They wanted to carry on from Voyager, you know, and Next Generation and all that sort of stuff, and Deep Space Nine. They didn't want to go backwards. And also, a lot of people I remember complained with the early episodes of season 1, saying it looked too up to date to be of that time period. It looked newer than the Enterprise you saw in the original series. But actually, I don't think it does. And when you look at it, like when you go back and look at it, I think it fits in quite well. And there's a lot of ideas, a lot of things they threw in there that actually explained away a few of the problems you had later on with the movies. And for example, remember the Klingons looked different in the films compared to the original series. Well, that gets explained in Enterprise. You find out an airborne virus basically changes them. So it all gets explained. A lot of plot holes were solved. And anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you get a chance, go back and give it another look, because I go back every now and again and watch it. I've watched this series, probably 5 or 6 times since its release.
Yeah.
And it gets better every time I watch it. And especially now, because obviously this was recorded. I'm pretty certain, if I'm right, it was recorded in HD when they did it. So it looks even better now. It's on Blu-ray. But yeah, I mean, I've always liked it anyway, but I think you find a new appreciation especially when you look at all the rubbish Trek that's around now, all this Abram and Kurtzman rubbish that's around. And you'll notice, because I'm on Martin's channel, I'm being polite here because I don't normally call him Kurtzman. I've got another name for him, but but we won't go into that.
We keep it PG, apart from just one Freudian slip.
I did apologise. I'm sorry.
But yeah,
I forgot where I was.
I mean, obviously, I've already told you guys to watch Deep Space Nine because that's great. But yeah, I've been watching Enterprise again, and I tell you, if you get a chance, give it a watch. It is good. It's obviously got what's his name out of Quantum Leap in it, and that does help a lot.
Yeah. What his name is,
yeah.
So I'm hoping the twist at the end is that he's just jumped into the body of a Star Trek captain, and he's it was a direct tie to Quantum Leap. That's what I want to hear.
It's actually Sam Beckett.
It's that Sam Beckett the whole way. Yeah.
Oh, one thing I want to actually add. The only problem with that series, and anybody who's watched it will know what I'm going to say. I'm not going to give away what happens, but it didn't end on a good episode. Unfortunately, they tried to be clever and do something that involved one of the other Star Trek franchises, but it didn't work. It fell flat. The idea was a good idea, and ultimately, I suppose what actually you find out happened at the end of Archer's story, if you like, that's a good idea, but I didn't like the way they did it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to give you away. If you want to know why I'm on about it, you're going to have to watch it, and then you'll see. The series is great, and then you get to that very last episode, and they really dropped the ball with it. They really did.
I imagine it's quite a hard criticism to say that it doesn't look old enough. I mean, are they then comparing it to a show made in the 60s and 70s? Like, what are they trying to do there with the original start? Because how can you make it? I mean, you'd have to really.
It's a prequel before Kirk's Enterprise. What they're saying is that it looks. They're saying that all the screens and everything look too new. The buttons look new compared to Kirk's one, and to a certain degree, they're kind of right. But
also, how can you make it look older? You're talking about people that made sets out of God knows what back in those times. Like, you'd have had to really. I don't know. I mean, it's a harsh judgment, I think, to say it needs to look older than the original Kirk TV series.
The thing is, I think what they're overlooking, because the problem is you have got a few sort of like square flat screens in places, right? But I think what people are overlooking is when you looked at the original series, they were set into the fixtures. Whereas when you watch Enterprise, they're not. They're on arms. So for starters, that looks more primitive, right? And then you got the fact that nothing's coloured. It's all metal chrome, almost like a submarine.
Yeah.
So again, it looks primitive. And then you got the fact, like, first season, they don't even have like what ends up being phasers. They end up calling them plasma cannons, but they don't get them in the first season. So they're getting like literally battered by everybody. So when people say, "Oh, it don't look primitive enough," it's like, Hey, have you really paid attention to what you're watching here? Because it does. It really does.
I just think they back then the skills in set design, the materials available, the like it's just of course it's going to look newer now because the talent is that much different and the materials and the build is going to be that much different. So I don't know. I feel that's a bit harsh. I think you have to have a bit of a leap of faith with some of those things and kind of accept that. Star Trek, if they redid Kirk Star Trek, wouldn't look like Kirk Star Trek, would it? It would be modernized to a certain respect because of the materials and the skills and that involved in doing it. So,
I mean, I think they did their best with what they could do. I mean, for example, when you watch Kirk's Trek, they're walking around in, trousers, boots, and a red shirt or a, green, yellow shirt, whatever. Whereas I say green, yellow because Kirk used to wear both, didn't he? Whereas when you watch Enterprise, I mean, they're walking around in jumpsuits like a submarine.
Like the mechanics. It's like the mechanics.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd go with a submarine because that is more what they're supposed to be like, But yeah, I mean, they did really think about it. I mean, this is before the Federation as well. That's the other thing.
yeah.
So Starfleet's a thing, but the Federation of Planets isn't. So
Okay.
So
would you recommend? Can you start at if it got good at season 3? Can you start at season 3, or would you recommend going from the beginning?
No, because the problem is, like I said, you need to watch season 1 just to see how primitive the ship is. Otherwise, you jump into season 3 and you're going to be like, oh well, this looks almost as good as Kirk's thing. You need to really see the progression, like because
Okay.
they don't. For example, like what you got to remember, this ship don't even have shields. It's got like whole plating. It doesn't have shields. So, it's got no tractor beam, things like that. So you've got to see the progression because as the seasons go on, it gets better. And without giving it away, like something happens at the end of season 2, which makes them sort of progress how well they can defend themselves because of something that happens at the end of season 2.
Cool.
So you need to watch it all, really. So
there you go. Okay, brilliant. Good stuff. Well, I thought our sort of final topic would be our impending adventure coming up this weekend. So this weekend we are off to, I'm going to say it wrong, but I think is it Sandown or Sundown? Sandown. Sandown ToyFair, which is, I think, going to be a really good day. Lee, maybe you can tell us a little bit. Is it one of the largest ones in the UK? Is it like give us some information?
I mean, I imagine it's probably one of the largest. I don't know for sure if it is, but I know that there's generally about 500 stalls at this place.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one. And everything's there. I mean, you've got like cash machines, plenty of places to eat and drink as well. So you pretty much don't even have to leave there once you're there. You're just there, So, as you know, I'm massively into my collectibles and all that. So I've always wanted to go to something like this. And initially we was talking, weren't we, of maybe trying to go to, I think it was the NEC we was going to go to, wasn't it?
Yeah, Birmingham, yeah.
But then we realised it wasn't really doable. So, and this one, Chef just happened to say, well, what about Sandown? It's like, yeah, that's a good point. That one is a good one as well. So, I mean, this is the first time I'm going to it. I've never been to one before, but I have heard from plenty of people who have, and I've also seen plenty of videos of people I watch on YouTube that have been there too. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think from what I've heard, if you can't find what you're looking for there, then there's something wrong with you. So, so yeah.
I always second my guess where it is because whenever I say the word Sandown, that to me is the Isle of Wight. I always think, oh, crikey, we're going to so
Sandown Racecourse.
That's what my wife said to me. She said to me, "You're going to Sandown." I'm like, "Yeah." She went, "The Isle of Wight." I'm like, "No, I'm going to the other side of London." She went, "Oh, right, okay."
Don't you tell them to worry because it invokes the exact same feeling for me. I keep thinking, well, why is it there? Like,
yeah,
catch the ferry.
Really, when you look at it, it's not like it kind of, in a way, it's not similar, but it is to when we went to Revival because that was kind of, I don't think it wasn't a race course, but it was like a building that was kind of set out in the same sort of way, if you get what I mean.
I think Revival was a race course. I think it was.
Oh, was it? Oh, maybe it was. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah. So, it's funny because the Brighton gaming market is also at a race course. So clearly, race courses get used for these sorts of events. I guess they have large convention halls. I guess probably typical of those sorts of places. So yeah, I think we're all looking for, like yourself, Lee. I'm interested in The thing I'm going to be looking for is like all the pocket money toys. That's what that's what I
same.
like. The monster in my pockets,
Mini
the muscle
boglins.
men, battle beasts, all this kind of, even the stuff out of the cereal packets and stuff like that, like all of that sort of stuff. Because I just like decorating the room with little bits and pieces. Possibly some visionaries. You know, I'd love to get a Witterquick if I was down there from Visionaries. And I've got a couple of accessories I need to get.
One thing that's a must that I've got to find. I've got to find the barrel for my Galvatron G1.
Okay.
I've tracked down every other part for it. I can't find a barrel anywhere. And when they do have them on eBay, they're crazy money. I need to find a barrel for it. So.
I'll also be interested to see if they've got any old Warhammer as well, because I imagine, even though it's not strictly toys, I imagine it's the sort of stuff that might show up at these kind of places, is old model kits and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see.
They call it old hammer, I think, a lot of these things, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, you've got the old pewter type or lead type models, and then you've obviously got the newer kits and stuff. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because even if there's some badly painted stuff, those are always good projects that you can restore, or you can strip the paint off them or whatever. So I've been painting quite a lot recently with a new army that I'm building. So it'll be nice to see and that sort of stuff. Chef, are you looking forward to it? Looking for anything in particular?
I'm looking forward to stopping at the service stations to see what sandwiches they have. No, I'm just looking. I've been to Birmingham NEC, but many moons ago. Obviously, I'm sure there'll be some games there. Maybe some mask figures. Maybe I'm not like, I'm obviously until the room's sorted. Like, I don't want to be starting a new. A new rabbit hole of stuff, but mask is something. I've still got my Boulder Hill and a few I've got Rhino and a few. I've still got quite a few of the vehicles and figures. My GI Joe stuff. I've still got my Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. There's quite a few. I've still got quite a bit, but yeah, definitely would probably like to get a few more masks, or even Starcom. I used to love Starcom because they were a little bit more modern.
Oh, they're pricey. They are now.
Yeah, I've seen a few. I don't know. Just want to see what you guys get and help you out with bits, and maybe see some games, maybe some Amiga bits. I don't know, but just
I know something you probably will like. I was watching Ed's Retro Geek Out when he went to one, which was end of last year, and I don't know if the guy's going to be there this time, but if he is, this guy does T-shirts, which I know you're going to like because they're retro inspired. But like, for example, he kind of did the one design that he had was like the Turtles, but they're the Wu-Tang Clan guys.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
And he had loads of designs all like that. So I think that if he's there, I think there'll probably be a few bits you'd like there, Chef. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Maybe some comics. We're just seeing it. Maybe something pique my interest while we're there. Maybe some wrestling figures. I don't know. We'll wait and see.
And I think that's what I'm most looking forward to, is the stuff I don't know that I don't know. That's what I like to see. Like, I'm definitely going to see a toy or a piece of memorabilia or something. I'm going to be like, oh, crikey, I can't believe I've forgotten all about those things, or that was. So yeah, I'm excited to see just the stuff that sparks memories. The problem is that then normally leads to you buying something, so that could be dangerous as I walk around. So, yeah.
What you will find funny is when you realise that knockoff toys from back in the day are worth more than the originals.
Yeah,
that one will surprise you because some of them are crazy money.
Yeah, so it's. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be, hopefully feel like you're going around the old toy stores, like we always talk about the Nuxie Toys one, Lee, and things like that. So where it was, even when you went into Nuxie Toys, yes, you had the stuff that was hanging on the walls in the old store, but there were also cardboard boxes just full of stuff that you'd rummage through and find, like you say, the knockoff Turtles or something like that and things. So I'm looking forward to just going through that. And obviously, we're taking our kids with us as well, so it'll be nice for them to sort of see some of this stuff and see what they like, and actually what piques their interest, because I'm sure, I imagine with my sons, it's going to be the the pops and stuff like that, you know, the stuff that I'm going to turn my nose up against, they're going to be going, oh no, Dad, that's really cool, and I'm going to, you know, it'd be interesting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good day, and obviously we can report back on it. Our next podcast in March, we can talk about that as probably our main topic, what we saw, what we liked, and so on and so forth. So
yeah. Speaking of which, we was talking, weren't we, in the future of going to Salute. When's Salute, Martin?
So I believe Salute is April time. So yeah, I'll
Right.
yes. Obviously, I've got next month. I'm going to Adepticon, so I've got that end of next month, and then I think Salute is a few weeks after that. So yeah, definitely. That's obviously based in London, so you can get to that one fairly easy. But that'll definitely be a good fun day out. Definitely.
Yeah.
And that's what I think. Obviously, our podcast will no doubt include throughout the year all of the events we go to, and I guess to the people listening, if you see us at these events, give us a shout, come and say hello.
Come and say hello.
We'll definitely be doing probably some minor recording here and there, because we all like to put out little days out videos and stuff like that. But it would be great to meet and greet some people, especially if you listen to the podcast. That'd be amazing if you said that. Be great to say hello to some people. But yeah, hopefully we'll be at a number of events throughout the year. That's the plan. So yeah. Right, well, let's wrap this up then, I guess. Let's check in with each other. Chef, what you got coming up in your own sort of channel and world? I guess SwapShop this Sunday. Let's pull that out. So
yeah, SwapShop this Sunday. Then I've got a pickups vid and an out and about vid to finish off, to upload, and that's about it really. Not much else. And obviously this weekend we're away, so I'll be filming a bit of that. So yeah, that's it really, mate. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, good stuff. Lee?
So I've got a couple of games that I want to review, I suppose. Gonna have a pickups video at some point. Movie channel, I don't know at the moment, because obviously I just put out that sort of, I don't know, what would you even call that? What I put out, I don't know what I'd call that really.
An opinion piece. There you go. That's what I'd call
an opinion piece. Yeah, that's it. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. And wow, did that take some work as well, Christ. But yeah, I've just put that out. So at the moment, I haven't really got any plans. I'm sure I'll think of something. But yeah, there'll be something on the movie channel. Collectibles wise, I was planning on doing like a Transformers vid, because I've recently, over the last 6 months, picked up a few Transformers, old ones, of course. But now I'm thinking, well, I don't know, because if we're going to this event on Saturday, and the next thing you'll probably see on there will probably be something to do with that. So just so you know, guys, if you're join to Nerdy Geezer but not NG Collectibles, you better join NG Collectibles too, otherwise you might miss something. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll add the NG Collectibles channel to this, because I've obviously got our 3 channels listed below wherever you're hopefully listening to this or watching it indeed. But I'll add the NG Collectibles one to the channel as well, so that people can click that one, because that obviously focuses much more on your toys and what the collectibles rather than the video game stuff, right? So
yeah,
that's a good one. That's a good one to follow. Yeah. For myself, obviously, Monday Night Retro is back. Season 2 is here. It's got a new look. It's again focusing much more in on that personal computer journey. So we've done Amiga, we've done Commodore 64. There will be some old school PC gaming and many other things going on there. So I'm really enjoying doing that so far, and I think it's nice to give it a bit of a freshen up on the look and feel of things. So there's always little tweaks to be made, but I'm really happy that's back. I've got a whole big pile of stuff behind me, so I need to do a pickups video, and I'm probably going to do that once a month. Do a pickups video once a month, kind of what I said I would do, and that way I can also do a bit of a channel update as well. And yeah, I want to get the last thing that I need to get back up and running again is the painting stream. So I've picked up some Warhammer stuff recently, and I have started painting some combat patrols, so that me and James can take them with us to Adepticon in the US next month, because we've got some gaming tables booked that we can play on whilst we're at the event. And yeah, I need to get those done. So I want to paint those up, show them off as well, show some of the techniques I'm doing. But yeah, that's kind of what's going to come from me. And obviously, keep this going. I'm still really enjoying our podcast. So yeah. This is episode 5, and it'll be really exciting to have our first episode 10. Feels like a good first milestone. So let's make sure we reach that. And yeah, that's pretty much it from me. So Once again, guys, I should just say thank you very much. And to everyone listening, if you made it this far, thank you very much. Please do hit the likes, the subscribes, the 5 stars, the comments, whatever it is, wherever you're listening to this, whatever the option is to give us some feedback, it'd be lovely to get it. Yeah, if you want to find the other guys, you want to find Nerdy Geezer or Retro Chef, the links to their channels are below. I'm sure you know them already, but if you don't, go and check out their channels as well. And we will see you probably in about a month's time when we'll be talking about all of what we've just been up to. Excellent.
Yeah.
Right. All to do is say goodbye, guys. So thank you very much, everyone. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye, bye,
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Bye.